So the leak I posted recently, I actually posted a couple leaks, but the leak I posted recently had a lot of y'all talking about the political aspects of the game that have been in there, as far as some of the characters that they're maybe possibly going to be putting in there, and of course, when will we get the game? Well, another leak has come forward. Of course, it's not from Anonymous this time. It's from Look to La Luna, Look to the Moon, and it has some interesting details. Some I find a little bit disappointing, but you know, none of it's full of detail. So let's get to it. So as I said, this does come from 4chan, of course, not anonymous, thank goodness. User Look to La Luna. Hopefully there's some credibility to some of this, but always take it with a grain of salt. This is for discussion. But it says the game is the second reboot in the franchise, though it's less a 2011 styled reboot and more a reimagining of the series, going back to its mythological martial arts roots and moving on from all the previous storylines. So I know a lot of people, I have been happy with all the Mortal Kombat games that have come out. I know some of y'all are not happy with the way Mortal Kombat 11 turned out. I mean, some of y'all aren't happy with the way Mortal Kombat 10 turned out, even with Mortal Kombat 9. It's just, I think the last three games have been, I mean, they were somewhat of a reboot. So, I mean, for it to be like another reboot, I think, okay, so that was obviously maybe a trilogy, but I feel like there's still more story to be told. And I don't know if really we need another reboot. But it says the roster is 21 characters at launch plus a 20-second pre-order bonus. The pre-order, it says pro-order. Pre-order bonus is planned to be Shang Tsung, but that could change, which is, he was a DLC character in 11. Characters that I know for a fact that are on the roster include the main seven: Liu Kang, Sonya Blade, Johnny Cage, Raiden, Kano, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero, as well as Kotal, not Khan in the name anymore, which I guess kind of makes sense, Katana, and Jax. Faces are familiar to diehard fanboys also return, like Reiko, Serena, and Boraicho. So we, of course, in many of the Mortal Kombat games for the same kind of characters, but if we're gonna go, I mean, if it's gonna abandon all previous storylines, I obviously know it's maybe not gonna be the Great Kung Lao, possibly. As we kind of get further on this leak, it's going to kind of give us some more details that kind of make me feel like it's still going to have some of the elements of the previous games. But as far as the main characters that he mentioned, he or she, I think those are all feasible to start off with. I don't know about having Kotal thrown in that mix, but I guess you could. Now, as far as the other three characters that they mentioned, as far as Reiko, Serena, and Boraicho, we get into that mix again about the 3D era characters. I know Boraicho was in previous Mortal Kombat games recently, so of course he could show up, but I don't know about those other two. It's all kind of a touchy subject with 3D era. We don't know if we're actually going to get those or not. But moving on, it says several years worth of DLC is lined up. Plans to have multiple seasons of content with characters, costumes, and arenas for substantial but affordable prices. I was just looking up something the other day, and it said that I think to get all the DLC, it's like thousands of dollars, and all the costumes and customizations and stuff. So, which I've talked about that in another video too, about how much it really costs to own Mortal Kombat. So, take a look at that if you want to know how much it costs you. But it's just crazy the way they're structuring the models nowadays. Everything costs something. Looking at each season potentially containing anywhere from 4 to 6 characters. Okay, that's pretty fair. That's quite a bit though. I mean, what usually with the combat packs and the stuff like that, we're like, what, 2 to 3 characters? So 4 to 6 is quite a stretch. Unless maybe they think a season has multiple combat packs. Interesting. But each season would be themed, which we've seen that in the past. New engine, heavily modded Unreal Engine 4 will feature insane looking but minimal new gore mechanics, including cuts and bruises to character renders, as well as clothing tearing, which, I'll keep going. The new engine also boasts new volumetric lighting and new physics capabilities. So in the previous leaks it talked about using more realism, having, like when you're punched, you're, seeing the ripple into your skin. So this kind of goes along with that as far as the type of graphics and the motion capabilities you'll get to see with the games. It says tons of fluff stuff from 11 is not returning, including AI battle, though you still have the option of letting the game play for you in normal towers. Lots of things have been stripped to give you a more back to basics feel. When I originally read that, I was kind of like, so are we just dumbing things down? Or are we kind of just getting, I think maybe people just want a very basic Mortal Kombat game this time around. I don't know. That's kind of what I got from that. Towers return, but there are less of them, and those that remain have been streamlined. Combat League has been completely retooled with a better reward system for enticing more players to participate with rewards such as exclusive skins as well as classic finishers. Customizing returns, but is, again, stripped off of the overwhelming choices option like in 11. Fewer things overall, but more of an emphasis on originality and diversity. Now, a lot of people like the customization in Mortal Kombat 11. I thought people came up with some pretty cool characters from what they were able to customize of the existing characters. So I don't know if stripping that down would be such a good thing. Now, this next part, he kind of goes in really big detail about conquest mode, the crypt, and then he gives one statement for the release date. But bear with me with the conquest mode because there's a lot of good details in there and they kind of foreshadow what maybe this game is going to be about. So, Return of Conquest mode. More fleshed out this time and replaces story mode. 11's The Crypt was very clearly the trial test for this. Conquest features an open world of 3 realms of which you can travel back and forth using portals. These realms consist of Earthrealm, Outworld, and the Netherrealm, right? Within these realms are notable places you can visit such as Special Forces Bunker or the Lin Kuei Temple in Earthrealm, Shao Kahn's Fortress or the Living Forest in Outworld. As you progress through the realms, you'll stumble upon non-playable characters and Mortal Kombat characters that you can do missions for. Finishing these missions and discovering more areas of each realm will thus begin to unravel the plot of the game. I think that's great. I think that's a great way to do it. That's very much how a lot of the open world games work now. So I think giving that to Mortal Kombat would be great because I think the way Mortal Kombat's been in the past as far as a story mode, there's dialogue and then a fight, dialogue and then a fight, dialogue then a fight, which works too, obviously for a fighting game. But I think if we want to maybe try to elevate a little bit, maybe this open world approach is the way to go. I think a lot of fans like it. There is an insane amount of notable Mortal Kombat characters that you can stumble upon in this mode, but not all of them will make it into the game as members of the roster. That might be an easy way for them, some of these characters like the 3D era, or just some that we may never actually get to see fully flesh out, like Havoc. Maybe we'll get to see him in here. Quite a few of them are merely cameos. This mode does have cutscenes and is considered a separate game within a game. Interesting. In this mode, you play as the Elder Kung Lao, who has won several tournaments up to the starting point of the story and has stopped aging. Liu Kang in God form is his mentor and acts as a guide throughout the 3 realms and is one of the driving forces of the game's plot. Now, this is where I get kind of confused because if we're going to kind of abandon all the storylines from 9 through 11, why would God form Liu Kang be in this? If we're going to reboot it, would that mean we're kind of starting over again? It didn't kind of make sense. If we're saying that from the point that Fire God Liu Kang interacts with the Great Kung Lao, and that's where we're going to start the reboot, okay, I guess that could kind of work. But then as far as the roster of characters, in the previous leak, it talked about having ancestral characters possibly be brought to the forefront. So ancestral versions of, Sub-Zero, as far as ancestral versions of Scorpion. So Sonya Blade and Jax and all of them, they wouldn't really be in the game at first. Maybe we can get them later on. It did talk about going through different realms. Maybe we can do some time travel. It says travel back and forth, but maybe we can do some time traveling too. So I think if we have newer characters brought in later on during the game, maybe just as DLC, I don't know. That's just something to think about. Let's see. Now it goes on to talk about the crypt. The crypt will return, but will be way more bare bones. Again, I would use this word stripped than how we previously saw it. You can unlock everything in this mode by finishing different unlock specifications. Everything from winning so many tower fights, fighting so many online matches, doing so many fatalities, having so many flawless victories, winning so many times with a specific character, spending the correct amount of currency to unlock an item, so on and so forth. I know some people like that, some people don't. I think it's better that way because who wants to pay out of pocket for all these things? So I think that also keeps the game going and keeps you interested in the game. And, I think that's a good thing. I enjoy the crypt. And then finally, the last detail is this game will release first half of 2024. So we are in fall of 2022 pretty much. And that seems like such a long way. It's almost a year and a half, it feels like. Because first half could be first quarter, which would be to May. I don't know. That definitely wipes off the books about anything getting for 30th anniversary. So I don't know. I mean, 2023 is pretty far away too. I mean, it's not as far away as 2024, obviously, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I think the main things take away from this leak is that a lot of things will be stripped down. A lot of things will not be like Mortal Kombat 11. Again, emphasis on a reboot. So, what do you feel? What do you think about that? How do you feel about that? How do you feel about being more of a reboot, more emphasis on the conquest mode, having more of this open world environment and gameplay that progresses the story forward? I mean, is that something you want? In the comments down below. That's it for this video, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.